Oh, time to pull into the garage. Whew. Hey, Sadie. How you doing, Beans? Oh.
You've even got the gas stove.
I can see why I'd want to hang out in front of the fireplace all day. You know?
Well, you could have shut the fireplace off where you go over there.
Wow, right. Oh, back to the office. Hey, this is Bruce. Welcome to Coffee Break. Hopefully you're having a great day. It is a Tuesday morning, although I'm recording this on Monday. Getting a little bit of snow out there, but other than that, I happen to kind of enjoy cold weather. I'm built for cold weather. My wife calls me a polar bear. I've been very pleased with the input that I've got about Coffee Break, and a lot of you seem to be enjoying this. It's a lot tougher to do it every single day of the week than what I thought. Just even finding a few minutes to flip on the camera and talk. This is actually the 7th, I think, or 8th attempt I've had trying to record this video. But that being said, here we are. I've gotten a lot of questions emailed to me, especially about thoughts on particular pieces of hardware. And I'm not an expert on every single piece of hardware that's out there. In general, I've been asked about, like different Windows phones and that kind of thing. And I've never owned a Windows phone. Never have had a Windows phone. Well, God, what was it? It's not the Windows phone that we know today, but a long, long time ago, I had a device. What was that? Like, it wasn't Windows Mobile Edition. It was some kind of a weird thing it wasn't successful. Microsoft's never done well in the phone space, and I'm beginning to have my doubts if they will. Although I'm hoping to see a Surface phone somewhere in the future. That would be cool. But that's not the point of this video at any rate. If it's a very specific hardware question, I'll do my best to give my overall opinion given what I know, but I don't, again, have like a test bench and do all my other stuff with it. I have just got done upgrading my custom PC a little bit. It's got a lot more upgrades to go in the future, but I really had to put it back into production right away because my wife's MacBook Pro, she desperately needs the other one, and I was running Windows in a virtual machine, and I didn't really want to continue to working in a VM day in and day out. So I went ahead. I didn't complete all the upgrades because I actually want to. I'm really interested in these Ryzen CPUs, particularly the 1700X, not the 1800X. I think the values in that 1700X when you're looking at it from that perspective. But at any rate, one of the things I just thought I'd talk to you just a little bit about is the high cost of nursing homes. I'm going to be very frank with you. Back in November, my mother had to enter a long-term care facility, aka nursing home. Now the price for that is $219 a day. My mom had a little bit of money put back, but she certainly couldn't afford to pay $7,000 a month for medical care in one of these places. And so in order to get assistance, you pretty much have to liquidate all your assets, which is what I've been busy doing, getting her property sold, paying for her nursing home bill out of her assets. And it's actually required doing things like getting a guardianship and then putting a plan together through the court in order to approve me to sell her home and her personal property and her automobile. And all that money has to be pretty much liquidated before you can get any type of assistance to help with the bill. Now, granted, I make a pretty good living, but even I can't afford to shell out $7,000 a month out of my pocket for mom's medical care. That's not including the prescription medications. I think a lot of people are under the impression that the bills are paid by Medicare. It's not. Medicare does not pay for your nursing home if it is going to be a situation where you're not going to go back home. And even if there is, I think there's a certain period of time that they'll cover, and then after that, you're on your own as well. So it's a very, very tough situation. A couple of my friends that I know from YouTube, they're also in a similar situation with their parents, getting them taken care of. So it's been quite interesting. Everything I do for my mom, I have to keep a ledger and show where the money's coming from, where it's going. And I took all this on as an only child because there is nobody else to help. And so when you're on your own, I did find one thing very, very good, which was what they call an attorney that practices an elder care or elder care attorney. And they can help show you some ways to preserve some of the assets for your parent or your loved one, for things you're going to need, because without that, Medicaid, which is what would pay the nursing home bill, will only allow my mother to have $52 a month from her Social Security and pension checks. Everything else is taken by the state to pay her nursing home bill. And so obviously she's going to need more than that. I mean, that's hardly any money whatsoever. So a elder care lawyer will help you preserve some of those assets to be used for providing for things like clothes, and ladies like to get their hair done, and they have trips where they go out to eat and stuff like that. So it definitely takes an elder care lawyer, but they're very expensive. Like this one charged around $5,000 for their work, but they also make sure that they get signed up for Medicaid properly, and that there's nothing that's going to come back on you later on. So it's money well spent. A lot of legwork done. A lot of things have to be handled properly by this, by the attorney in order for this to work out and the bills get paid. So I've been having to run back and forth about 100 miles from my home to her home multiple times a month to check on the house to make sure the heat and all that's working, the water's not leaking, and so forth. So it's quite a challenge that I've been handling, my wife and I. But we're getting through it, and we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel. But it's the thing about dementia is dementia is not a disease itself. Rather, it's a syndrome. It's a combination of different things, and it can be caused by about half the time through Alzheimer's. And then the rest of the time it can be caused by other factors. And what's really interesting, I just read that about 1 out of 10 Americans aged 65 or older will end up with dementia, but they're planning on that figure getting much, much higher. And so there's going to be a very good possibility most of us at one point or another in time in our life will, have somebody in our life that's suffering from this terrible, terrible syndrome that basically robs these folks of their memories and their ability to function independently. So, but mom's doing well. She's getting rest. She's getting the food because she wasn't eating right, and she wasn't taking her medications properly. She lived alone, and we couldn't accommodate her because she was really getting too bad. And because she has other physical ailments as well. That's just not the only thing. But so she's doing much, much better, and in a very controlled environment. She's getting her medications, and she's making some friends where she's at. And of course, she wants to go home. She wants to go home. And that's the tough question. Because she's not in a good state of mind, and her judgment skills are really, really poor, and her memory, of course, is even worse to a greater extent. How do you explain to somebody that, you've sold their home, you're in process of selling their home that's been their home for 40 years? How do you explain that to them where it makes sense? Her pets, what happened to her pets? Well, we had to find a home for them. But she's ready to go home, and she doesn't understand why she can't go home. And that's a tough thing to deal with, to explain to her, the why. So when it's all said and done, what we try to do is redirect her. As she starts going down a negative path, we try to change the subject and to get her to move on. But there's no easy way to explain what's going on to her and what the best that we're doing the right thing for, when in her mind she's well, she's quite capable, and the reality is she's no. Believe me, we've had so many tests. We've visited with psychiatrists and doctors and everything, and it's advanced form of dementia. And the last few visits with her, she looked to me like she didn't even recognize me, who I was, for a few minutes. But in her mind, everything's kind of turned upside down. But that's just part of the course, and it's all about redirecting them, and it's all about trying to focus on the good memories. And of course, there are days where they're a little bit more clear than others as well. They'll have good days and bad days, and you try to take advantage of that, right? That's what you try to do. And so I just thought I would share with you a little bit. I'm actually right now in the beginning process of putting together a small movie about dementia. I've alluded to this before, and hopefully we'll have that shot and edited and ready to go sometime this summer. Hey, that's it. That's all I want to talk to you about. I've already talked too much. Bruce Naylor, take care.